When we were children, just a single piece of candy could make us happy. As we grow older, even though the candy in our mouths still tastes sweet, we begin to feel the bittersweet, sour, and even the bitterness of life itself. As children, we cried and then laughed. As adults, we laugh first and then end up crying. The burdens of work, the debt of buying cars or houses, the pressure of getting married, raising children, all of these can weigh so heavily on us that sometimes it feels hard to breathe. And then, at times, we ask ourselves, if everyone is destined to die one day, then what are we really living for? I know your life is busy, and I also know that what I'm saying is not easy to absorb, especially not at once. That's why my advice is this: don't just listen one time. Watch this until the very end, and replay it whenever you have free time while you're doing chores or before you rest. Save it, share it, keep it in your playlist, because I'm certain that within a few short months, your thinking will rise to an entirely new level. So, greetings to you, dear friends. Today, we are going to explore the meaning of human existence, why we are alive at all. And I promise you, these answers may change the way you live. Especially the final story, a story that has awakened thousands of people. The story of the little pig. There once was a pig who lived happily every day with his parents. Someone always made sure he had food and water. But one day, the pig discovered the truth: he was being raised only to be slaughtered. Yet the other pigs in the pen didn't notice. They just kept eating, then sleeping, then eating again. The little pig felt miserable and thought that life had no meaning. He asked his mother, "If in the end we will all be eaten, then why should we even grow up?" His mother replied, "Yes, in the end we will all be slaughtered, but the joy you feel now is still real. Instead of worrying about the pain that has not yet arrived, why not live fully in the joy of this very moment?" The pig thought deeply, and her words made sense. From that day, he no longer suffered. But then one day, he discovered a small hole in the pen. The problem was, the hole was too small for him to pass through. So the pig found a new purpose for his life. He would lose weight so he could escape through that hole. He stopped eating so much, exercised every day, and endured hunger and suffering, all with the belief that victory was waiting for him ahead. And at last, one day, he had become thin enough to squeeze through the hole. He escaped. He ran to a faraway mountain, and there, he transformed into a wild boar. He thought his destiny had finally changed. But soon, he realized something strange. He was not the first pig to escape. There were many others like him, pigs who once lived in pens but had fled to the wild. These pigs, however, lived miserably. They had no tusks, no strength, and no speed like real wild boars. They survived only at the bottom of the herd. The little pig once again felt despair. He wondered, should I endure this life, or should I resist? In the end, he chose to resist. Every day, he practiced ramming trees. He practiced biting. Day after day, he trained himself with relentless effort. Until one day, he challenged the leader of the wild boars. And he wounded the leader badly. But just before dying, the old leader whispered his last words. "Finally, I am free. Now it is your turn to suffer." The little pig was stunned. But soon, he understood the meaning of those words. He had now become the new king of the herd. He had climbed to the very top. But when he looked down from the mountain peak, he saw something shocking. A signboard hanging below read, "Wild Boar Training Camp." In that moment, he realized the painful truth. He was still just part of a human experiment. A project to turn domestic pigs into wild boars so they could be sold for a higher price. His heart broke. Stumbling, he walked down the mountain. And he told each pig in the herd, "Live joyfully each day. That is enough." Because the process of growing up is actually the process of understanding. It is also the process of transformation. Yes, sometimes it means becoming a wild boar. But what truly matters is not the end. It is how we live and what we realize along the way. Sometimes, we come to realize a painful truth. Most of the things around us, in fact, have no real meaning. No matter how hard you try, whether you end up rich or just an ordinary person, you are nothing more than a pawn in the hands of capitalists. In reality, there isn't much difference. Even your funeral is not truly about you. It is simply another occasion for other people to gather. One man online once shared a story about his neighbor, a 52-year-old department manager who suddenly passed away from a stroke. His wife and children were heartbroken. But when relatives and friends came to the funeral, Almost everyone greeted one another with smiles. They handed out cigarettes, they chatted politely, and soon after the small talk, they began eating the late-night porridge, even gambling. The women working in the kitchen were laughing, talking, and joking while preparing food. The men stayed behind to drink, tease one another, smoke, and joke around. The funeral no longer looked like a place of mourning. It felt almost like a lively party. And at that moment, I finally realized, your life and your death are not important in the eyes of others. Apart from your parents, your children, and your spouse, no one else truly cares about whether you live or die. No one grieves deeply when you're gone. Your death is simply a rare chance for people to meet up, catch up, gossip, or sometimes even get drunk and cause trouble. But hardly anyone mentions you, or really cares about your passing. Later, I understood more deeply. We are never as important as we think we are. It is only we ourselves who feel we are important. If the fire does not burn someone, they do not feel pain. And so, when the time comes for us to die, there is no need for an extravagant funeral. Just a few close family members are enough. The rest are only coming out of curiosity, not out of love. When we first begin to think for ourselves, we often imagine that we are the center of the world, and that everyone else around us is an audience watching our lives. But the truth is, we only care about ourselves. We worry whether our parents care about us. We worry about what others think of us. We worry about our lovers. We wonder if we should love ourselves more. But the truth is, others don't really care about us. What they care about is not us, but how we see them. It's the same way we don't actually care about others. In everyone's world, others are just side characters, background players, or spectators. We must admit it, modern people have become much colder. They care less and less about the lives of others. Sometimes, people even feel a secret satisfaction when misfortune falls on someone else. If you don't believe this, ask yourself honestly, do you even know the neighbor who lives right across from you? When someone in the community dies, many people feel nothing at all. Why? Because that person is not family, not blood, and not someone we interacted with often. And so when they leave this world, it barely touches us. Many people today live as if nothing truly matters. But if you want a richer, more meaningful life, you must be brave enough to step forward. Don't be afraid of failure, because the truth is, no one really cares about you that much. For those who are living like actors on the stage of this world, if one day you no longer wish to act, if playing the lead role feels too heavy, and playing a supporting role feels too empty, then have the courage to walk away. There was once a student who wrote an essay titled, "Only by enduring the hardships of life can one truly become great." But when that essay reached a professor in New Zealand, the student was given a failing grade. Why? Because the professor understood something simple. If enduring more suffering automatically made one superior, then the richest being on earth would surely be a donkey. Generations before us dug a deep trap for the youth, telling them that they must suffer more, sacrifice more, and endure more pain if they wish to have a future. But once you step into society, you will see for yourself. Once you begin gritting your teeth to endure suffering, you will never run out of new suffering waiting for you. Money? It always flows toward those who already have plenty. Love? It always seems to bless those who already have enough of it. And as for suffering, it piles up on those who have the highest tolerance for pain. But notice this carefully. These are not the noble kinds of suffering. They are not the suffering of self-discipline, of training, or of personal growth. They are simply low-level hardships, meaningless struggles that drain life away. Young people today are no longer willing to blindly accept suffering. And that is not weakness, it is clarity. Recently, I read a comment online. Someone said, "If you feel exhausted, just go to the market at 4 a.m. or step into an emergency room. You will see what real exhaustion looks like." But another person replied, "If I'm tired, shouldn't I rest? Why must we compare who is more exhausted? If that's the logic, then out of 8 billion people, only the most exhausted one has the right to say they are tired. This makes sense. We cannot glorify suffering. Training our willpower is necessary when hardship is unavoidable. But praising suffering itself only traps us in a cycle of endless self-consumption. Success depends on many factors. But one thing is certain. We must not blindly embrace meaningless suffering. The best attitude is to remain positive and optimistic. Don't endure pain just for the sake of enduring pain. Tradition has long told us. First hardship, then happiness. First earn money, then enjoy life. But what if life is short? Wouldn't that mean hardship lasts a lifetime? The Japanese author Keigo Higashino once wrote, "If you push yourself too hard, you will only grow weary." Human beings are not born into this world to suffer. So don't carry everything inside. When you feel too busy, slow down. When you feel exhausted, rest. When you feel sad, cry. Do not make yourself the enemy. Nothing is more important than health and well-being, right? If we look abroad, their lifestyles seem like a mirror, reflecting our own. They work for half the year and play for the other half. They buy houses simply to live in. They drive cars only to get from one place to another. Meanwhile, many of us live as if life is only about working day and night, working overtime, and enduring hardship. But that is not why we came to this world. We came here to enjoy life, to experience the wonders of being alive. In this life, some will admire you. Some will look down on you. Some will envy you. Some will misunderstand you. But you cannot please everyone. So why care so much about how others see you? You must remind yourself, this body belongs to you, so cherish it. Your emotions belong to you, so protect them. Do not torment yourself because of people or things unworthy of your pain. There is a story about a little fish. One day, this fish was traveling through a magical forest and met an old fish. The little one said, "I'm searching for something they call the ocean." The old fish was astonished. "The ocean? But right now you are already in the ocean." The little fish replied, "This is just water. I want to find the ocean." Isn't this exactly how many of us live? We spend our entire lives searching for the meaning of life. Like a fish already living in water, searching endlessly for the ocean. So many people grow more and more anxious because they believe everything they do must have meaning. Especially sensitive people, they cannot read a book or watch a film without feeling obligated to write down their thoughts afterward. Even in moments of simple pleasure, they feel guilty. Perhaps it's because from childhood, we were taught that eating, playing, or relaxing was a waste of time. That only hardship, struggle, and sacrifice counted as real living. But this way of life is not only exhausting, it leaves us broken when failure comes. When we go through heartbreak, failures, or difficulties, our mental energy can be consumed at an incredible rate. Countless people overlook a simple truth. Not everything in life needs to have a meaning. Eating, drinking, or playing does not automatically mean you are wasting time. And enduring hardship does not automatically mean your life is meaningful. When you feel anxious or mentally exhausted, remember this. Life is simply the accumulation of countless experiences. If you wish, you are allowed to do things that appear meaningless, like sitting quietly, watching the sunrise, counting stars, or lying on the grass all day. Your experiences themselves are the greatest meaning of all. Life does not necessarily require you to do what society calls meaningful, nor to live by its timelines, such as marrying at 20 or building a career by 30. Meaning is something you create for yourself. Life is not a single railway track. It is an open field. If you are enjoying the present moment, you already have meaning. Some people say the biggest difference between humans and animals is that animals live meaningless lives while humans live meaningful ones. But I don't believe that's true. Both animal life and human life have no inherent meaning. We evolved from animals. The world did not suddenly become meaningful just because we developed thinking. Animals don't know their lives have no meaning, and they don't care. Humans, however, know it, and cannot bear it. And so we rush to search for meaning. It is precisely in this search that humans have created religion, philosophy, and art. When religion, philosophy, and art appeared, people began to feel that life had meaning. In the same way, each individual forms their own inner life while searching for meaning. And once they have that inner life, they feel their existence is meaningful. But that meaning was never prepared for you by nature or the universe. Nature has no concept of meaning. It does not specially arrange a purpose for humanity. A woman named Bronnie Ware worked for 9 years in palliative care in Australia. She published a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, based on the confessions of the patients she cared for. Here are the 5 regrets she heard most often. Number 1. I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. This was the most common regret of all. When people realize their lives are about to end, they can clearly see how many dreams they never fulfilled. Most have not even completed half of what they once dreamed. Only when lying on their deathbed do they wake up to the fact that their own choices shaped everything. Number 2. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. This was almost universal among the male patients Bronnie cared for. They missed watching their children grow up. They missed moments with their parents. If you simplify your way of living and make rational decisions, you'll discover you actually need far less money to live than you imagined. And then you can spend your remaining time enjoying life. You will be happier. Number 3. I wish I had had the courage to express my feelings. Many people suppress their emotions to keep peace with others. But by doing so, they lose themselves and drift farther away from their true nature. Number 4. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Many people let precious friendships fade because the pressures of life pull them away. But when lying on their deathbed, they remember their old friends and regret not giving more time and effort to those relationships. Number 5. I wish I had allowed myself to be happier. It's surprising how often this regret appears. When someone is lying in bed waiting for death, the opinions of others stop mattering so much. What truly matters then is their own heart. So before death approaches, if you can, let go of everything and smile at yourself. That is truly wonderful. In Japan, a young nurse named Shichi Okane, who specializes in caring for patients in their final stage of life, often witnesses the same pattern. At the end, people do not crave meaning imposed from outside. They crave authenticity. There is a nurse who witnessed and listened to the regrets of more than 1,000 patients before they passed away. From those voices, she later wrote a book titled 25 Regrets Before Death. The first 5 regrets were these: not doing the things they truly wanted to do, not fulfilling their dreams, doing things against their conscience, letting emotions control their whole life, and not having enough strength to help others. You will realize something, whether in the West or in Asia, no matter the culture or country. When people face death, their regrets are the same. That is why I hope you will have the courage to do what you truly want, so that you do not repeat the same regrets as others. Now, imagine this. If I gave you a lifetime of money so much that you would never be able to spend it all, but in exchange, you had to give up your health, would you accept? If you don't know how to choose, perhaps this story will give you clarity. Long ago, the wife of a poor man saw 3 old men standing in front of her house. They looked hungry and weak. She kindly invited them in to share some food. The 3 elders said, "Ask your husband if he agrees. We cannot enter without his consent." The husband joyfully replied, "Please invite them in. Helping those in need is the right thing to do." The 3 old men smiled and said, "In truth, we are not ordinary men. We are wealth, success, and health. Because of your kindness, you may choose one of us to enter your home and grant you what you desire. But remember, you may choose only one." The wife wanted to choose wealth. The husband wanted to choose success. But their daughter, who was sitting nearby doing her homework, said, "Father, Mother, I think health is the best. If our family can live healthily together, that is the greatest happiness of all." So they invited health into their home. To their surprise, both wealth and success also followed. The wife was shocked. "Wait, I thought only one of you could enter." Health replied, "That is true, but there is one exception. If you choose me, the other 2 will follow. Because without health, wealth and success mean nothing. And this is life. It does not matter how much money you have. If you lose your health, you lose everything. Do not fight for money and advantage at any cost. Because no amount of wealth can stop death. No amount of beauty can satisfy the judge of the underworld. Earning money is just a game. But health is the true goal. A strong body is worth more than all else. Because the parts of your body are priceless, and it is nearly impossible to replace them with ones that truly fit. And remember, health is not always available when you suddenly want it back. The great writer Maxim Gorky once told a story about a young man. This young man was always disappointed and bitter. He constantly complained about his poverty and the injustice of society. People who saw him would avoid him. One day, he met an old man. The old man asked him, "What do you need most?" The young man replied, "I am poor. I want to be rich." The old man said, "Very well, then sell me your hands and feet." I will pay you 5,000 bars of gold." The young man was shocked. He shook his head and said, "No, I cannot do that." The old man asked again, "Ah, do you think my price is too low? Fine, I will pay 10,000 bars of gold. Now, will you sell me your hands and feet?" The young man was astonished. And he firmly replied, "No, even if you offered more, I would never sell my hands or my feet." The old man smiled and said, "Exactly. Now tell me, do you still think you are poor? On your body, you already possess something worth more than 10,000 bars of gold. That treasure is your health. Health is not simply your greatest asset. It is the foundation of your entire existence. Every person is born with the most precious gift of all. Not extraordinary luck, but a healthy body. After the recent pandemic years, many people have finally understood this truth. No matter how much money you have, you cannot buy back a healthy body. When your body collapses, everything else collapses with it. Someone once said, "If all men considered owning a house, a car, and a flashy career as their only dream in life, then this country would have no future. But if men considered good health their dream, then this nation would always have hope." Tell me this. When you grow old, do you really want to sit with your grandchildren and say, "Do you know what the greatest achievement of my life was? Listen carefully. I paid off my mortgage." From the moment we are born, we are already walking down the road toward death. In the book How the Steel Was Tempered, it is written, "A person's life should be lived so that when they look back, they will not regret wasted years, and they will not be ashamed of living a life of mediocrity." In the Golden Age, there is a passage that says, "I live in this world simply to understand a few truths, to encounter a few wonders, and that alone makes my life a success." And in Thoreau's Walden, Life in the Woods, it is said, "Life itself has no value unless you choose and give it value." So, from this moment on, stop living the life you think you must live. Start living the life you actually want to live. Death itself is not what's frightening. What's truly frightening is reaching the end of life and realizing you never actually lived. There's an Oscar-winning short film called 1 Minute Fly. I believe you can also find the meaning of life there. The story begins with a tiny fly. When it is born, it sees a countdown clock on its head. No matter how it shakes, the clock will not come off. The little fly doesn't understand until it sees an older fly. The numbers on the old fly's clock reach 0, and instantly its life ends. At that moment, the young fly realizes it has only 1 minute to live. It receives a list passed down from the older fly. A list of all the things a fly must do in its lifetime. Time is short. The fly must hurry. It stings a raccoon. It goes to a dance party. It saves another insect. It even gets married and has children. All in the blink of an eye. It has no time to think. No time to feel. It just rushes from one important task to another. But as the list continues, the tasks become more impossible. Look at the stars. But it's daytime. Or become famous. Even harder than stargazing. The little fly feels anxious and desperate. And to its surprise, despair itself is also on the list. Suddenly, a drop of oil falls on the fly. Its short life ends instantly. Only in its final second, as night falls, does it finally pause and see the stars. Years later, its body is preserved in amber. It becomes famous at last. But what does that matter? Its whole life had been spent frantically checking off boxes on a list written by someone else. How ironic. How tragic. But let's not laugh at this tiny fly too quickly. Because isn't our life the same? Graduate from school. Find a job. Get married. Have children. Earn a title. Climb the ladder. This is the list handed down to us by those before us. Yet these things are not necessarily our own desires. They are the expectations of others. There's another story about a man and the Buddha. A man dies. At the very moment of his death, he realizes how short life truly island. He sees the Buddha walking toward him, holding a box. The Buddha says, "It's time, let's go." The man protests. "So soon? But I still have so many things left to do." The Buddha replies, "I'm sorry, but your time has ended." The man points at the box and asks, "What's inside?" The Buddha answers, "Everything that belonged to you. The man frowns. You mean my money, my clothes, my possessions? The Buddha shakes his head. No, those things were never yours. They belonged to the world. The man asks, then, my memories? The Buddha says, no, they belong to time. My talents? No, they belong to circumstance. My friends and family? No, they belong to the journey of life. My wife and children? No, they belong to their own hearts. Finally, desperate, the man asks, then it must be my body. The Buddha shakes his head. No, your body belongs to dust. The man, with tears in his eyes, whispers, then it must be my soul. The Buddha smiles. No, even your soul belongs to me. Shaken, the man takes the box, opens it, and sees it is empty. He breaks down in tears. So I never truly owned anything at all? The Buddha answers. That's right. Nothing in this world was ever truly yours. The man cries out, then what was mine? The Buddha says softly, every single moment you lived. That was yours. Life is a chain of choices and letting go. We are born in tears, and we die in the tears of others. The time in between, that is life. God has a sense of humor too. Cats love fish, but cannot swim. Fish love worms, but cannot crawl onto land. Life is a balance of gaining and losing, choosing and abandoning. Science tells us this. A human being dies 3 times. The first death is physical, when the heart stops beating. The second death is social, when the last person who remembers us dies. And the third death is eternal, when all traces of us, our photos, our videos, our names, disappear from history. From this perspective, life does not have meaning. But this realization should not destroy our will to live. Instead, it should remind us, the greatest meaning of life is to live fully in each moment. It means cherishing every act of love, every hug, every meal with family, every gathering with friends. It means giving your best to today. That might be the greatest meaning of all. So don't let small things disturb you. And don't disturb others. Live with this simple philosophy. To live well today, maybe that is the truest meaning of life.